Hello and welcome back to coverage of Grand Prix Washington, D.C. I'm Marshall Sutcliffe. I'm in the booth with Ben Schwartz, and it is Legacy early in the morning here. Round 10, both of the players on the screen are undefeated, and they're off to a quick start. Rudy kicks off with a Thoughtseize, revealing a hand from his opponent.
Yeah, so Mike's got a Brainstorm, Ancestral Visions, Abrupt Decay, Thoughtseize, Deathrite Shaman, Bayou, and Underground Sea. Mike here is on the Shardless bug deck.
That's a sweet opener though, right?
Yeah, it's a pretty awesome opener. Probably Rudy's trying to figure out what to take, whether that be a Thoughtseize or a Deathrite Shaman. And looks like he's going to go with the Deathrite Shaman. Wants to keep him off that pretty powerful card in this matchup.
Yeah. All right, so Underground Sea here for Mike Nyberg. And it looks like he's trying to decide if he wants to suspend Ancestral Visions here, and he does.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you want to try to suspend that card as quickly as possible.
That's right.
Get that effect off.
Generally speaking, this deck is trying to abuse the suspend mechanic. Ooh, is that a Wasteland hitting the Underground Sea there? All right.
Yeah, I mean, pretty strong play, obviously, denying Mike the mana. But Rudy knew that Mike had another land in hand, and depending on what's in Rudy's hand, it may or may not be the best thing. But you can see his hand, it was Jace the Mind Sculptor and a bunch of lands. He was hoping to cast a quick Jace the Mind Sculptor, but Thoughtseize is going to take that out of his hand and leave Rudy with pretty much no options.
Yeah, not a bad situation here for Mike, as he does have Ancestral Vision sitting on the suspend there. And since this game does look to be going a bit longer, although it looks like the Stoneforge Mystic freshly drawn by Rudy is going to change that entirely. Yeah, huge draw for him. Here's a trigger. He clearly doesn't want to get that Jitte that he has to the front, so it's a Batter Skull.
Man, and
so huge draw there for Rudy. I mean, he was really kind of on empty.
Yeah.
And facing down Ancestral Visions that was going to come off suspending a few turns and threaten to put Mike Nyberg just way ahead on cards. And now all of a sudden he's got pressure, he's got action, he's got things to do with his mana.
He's right back in it. And Mike's in a little bit of trouble. If he can't remove that Stoneforge Mystic, if he doesn't want to Abrupt Decay it right now, that Batter Skull is going to come down and take quick control of the game. Another
Ancestral Vision off the top. Pretty miserable draw. I was getting to that earlier, that this deck actually can abuse the Cascade mechanic to make Ancestral Vision a lot quicker.
Using Shardless Agent. But I mean, also, like, if you miss Ancestral Visions, all of your 2 and 1 mana cost spells in this deck are just awesome. You've got like Tarmogoyf, Abrupt Decay, Thoughtseize, Hymn to Torok, and then of course Ancestral Vision. So he's probably going to Abrupt Decay the Stoneforge Mystic here. Really does not want to see that Batter Skull come down uncounterable. And that's exactly what he does. I mean, he's going to just hope that Rudy just bricks off for a couple turns, draws a couple lands, allows him to draw 3 cards with Ancestral Visions.
And get way ahead.
Ooh, another land for Rudy. That's perfect. That's exactly what Mike wanted to see out of him.
Yeah, Batter Skull and a couple of lands left for Rudy. So Mike ticks down that Ancestral Visions to 1. He draws a Hymn. If he could hymn away that Batter Skull, that would be pretty sweet. Though, as we know, not his choice, so.
Yeah, he's probably considering whether or not he wants to try to Brainstorm here into a Force Will to counter the Batter Skull, or if he wants to try to hymn it away. Looks like he'll start off with Brainstorm. If he doesn't draw a Force Will off the Brainstorm, he can always hymn again, or hymn after that. Does not look like he got a Force of Will.
He did draw another Hymn, though, which means that he can go hymn, and basically knock out Rudy's entire hand, depending on what he draws next turn. Especially if Rudy draws a blank like a land or something, he can just get his whole hand.
Well, I mean,
by next turn.
If Mike gets unlucky in the 1/3 chance that Rudy discards both of his lands, and then Rudy draws a land, he'll be able to cast the Batter Skull.
Oh, you're right.
So he just has to hope that he doesn't not hit the Batter Skull.
Okay. So let's see if Mike's going to go for that here and get one of these hymns out of his hand. Cracks a Misty Rainforest. Gets an Underground Sea, and he's going to spin the wheel here, I think.
Yeah.
This is a big one. If he hits the Batter Skull, the coast is going to be clear. He's going to be able to lean on that Ancestral Visions and really get far ahead in this in this initial game here in round 10. If he doesn't hit the batter skull, then Rudy all of a sudden is live to a lot of draws to actually get the batter skull into play, which could be a pretty big problem for Mike. So,
I mean, this is the power of the Shardless bug deck. Getting this quick hand disruption early, and then waiting on a turn 1 Ancestral Visions to come off of suspend.
All right, here we go.
Building up this gigantic advantage.
These two are gone, one of them, and the other one's a land, so he does get to keep his batter skull here.
So we'll see if Rudy can peel a land off the top.
He needs a land to be able to cast it, otherwise he will lose it.
Is it a land?
No, it's a True Name Nemesis, which is a welcome addition to the board, but it does mean that batter skull should fall to the other him to Turok sitting in Mike Nyberg's hand this turn. Of course, Mike knows that that last card is a batter skull, so he is going to make that an absolute priority here. But he does now have to deal with the True Name Nemesis as well. All right, so Ancestral Vision comes off of suspend. That draws him 3 cards, and then he's 1 extra one for his draw step. So all of a sudden he's got a full grip here. Oh, man, there's a Force of Will. Just a turn too late as that True Name Nemesis plus Deathrite Shaman really does. I mean, that's 5 a turn. That's going to kill him very quickly. Batter Skull might not even be the biggest issue that he has now. He's going to go for Brainstorm here.
Yeah, looking at Mike's list, I don't see a main deck answer to True Name Nemesis.
If that's the case, then Rudy's going to be in really good shape here.
Just shows you how powerful that new commander's creature is.
It's made a pretty nice splash here. For those of you that weren't with us yesterday, we have seen it on camera quite a few times. Owen Turtenwald is running it. He's X1 coming into today.
So Brainstorm from Mike. Basically right now he's just looking to see if there's any chance of him being able to win more quickly than Rudy can take him out. But sitting at 11 life now, facing down effectively 5 a turn, 3 turn clock, he basically needs like Shardless Agent into Tarmogoyf, Shardless Agent into Tarmogoyf to have anywhere close to a chance, and even that.
And he's in a tough spot here as well, because even if he hits Tarmogoyfs, Rudy can just leave his True Name Nemesis back to block and eventually get the batter skull online. Plus, Mike Nyberg's at 11. If he cracks one more fetch or loses life for any reason here, then it's going to shorten that clock by a full turn. So tough spot here for Mike Nyberg. He's going to decrease the clock with an Abrupt Decay to kick things off and play, his own Deathrite Shaman. So that's going to help quite a bit with the True Name Nemesis, reducing it to hitting him just for basically 1 a turn. Once that Deathrite Shaman doesn't have Summoning Sickness.
Thoughtseize. So
Snapcaster Maze, and then he points to Thoughtseize, but Mike says, hold on a second. I've got a bunch of cards in my hand, and we know he has a Force of Will as well. So, Rudy giving away a little bit there by showing his intentions.
I mean,
and
probably good for him to Force Will here. Adds to Rudy's clock. Doesn't really want to give himself 1 fewer turn.
All right, so does he have a minute to resolve this? Okay, he's got a Shardless Agent. So let's see what he hits here. Well, it's a Tarmogoyf. Now, you mentioned this. He's made sure to leave up a green mana source for his Deathrite Shaman to start gaining him 2 life. And, oh, man, another True Name Nemesis.
I think that's going to be it.
He goes to 6. He does get an extra turn here, but unfortunately that True Name Nemesis is going to be able to block the Tarmogoyf and really halt the proceedings for Mike for this turn. And then, of course, it's going to be unblockable on the backswing, which won't actually kill Mike, I don't think. Is there any more? Yeah, there's a creature sitting right on top of Rudy's graveyard. So he will be able to gain some life here, but as you can see, he just can't do anything, has to pass the turn back. Rudy sitting at 17.
Swords of Plowshares off the top, just the nail in the coffin.
Yeah, so here, going to gain a couple of life.
Gets 1 more turn, but you can see Mike really just can't win here. And this really just shows the power of True Name Nemesis.
It does. This is where it shines. We were talking about it earlier yesterday, and that's going to do it, by the way. Rudy Briksza takes down game 1 there against Mike Nyberg. True Name Nemesis certainly seems to have a place in this format. Incredibly powerful creature that is very difficult to deal with, but it is not without downside. We saw it yesterday play against a couple of Storm decks and be kind of miserable. It really didn't do much against those Storm decks. But as we've been told and seen throughout the course of this weekend so far, in the mid-range, especially creature-based matchups, the card's really, really strong.
Yeah, I mean, and even against the combo decks, most of these Shardless bug decks and the decks playing True Name Nemesis are only main decking 2. It's not the end of the world if you draw one of your random 3-mana dorks. I mean, it sucks game 1, but you board them out, and the power, as you saw, of having it main deck in the mid-range mirror match is just absurd.
Yes.
It's worth giving up 2 slots in your deck at the bare minimum.
I mean, Rudy got him to Turok. He also got Thought Seized, and Mike resolved an Ancestral Visions, and
it wasn't close.
It wasn't really that close. Let's take a look at Esper Stoneblade. This is the deck that that Rudy's playing is a variant of this. It's a control-ish deck. Uses big, powerful spells like Jace, Stoneforge Mystic, Snapcaster Mage.
I mean, that was Rudy's plan that first game, right? Was to resolve a quick Jace the Mind Sculptor before his hand got torn apart, and then he just peeled a Stoneforge Mystic off to the top. Followed that up with True Name Nemesis. It's really, it just shows how powerful, how much raw power there is in this deck.
Yeah. Take a look at Shardless Bug, a very mid-range deck here, utilizes some of the most powerful spells in the color trio to gain card advantage and disrupt the opponent. That's what we saw in that first game. He disrupted him with Thoughtseize and him to Turok, and gained a lot of cards from his Ancestral Vision. Jason Mind Sculptor, some of the decks run Liliana, some don't. Him to Turok, Force of Will, Tarmogoyf, Deathrite Shaman, just an all-star cast from this color trio. And then we mentioned it before too. It uses the Cascade from Shardless Agent to power out threats and answers, also to abuse Suspend. So a whole lot going on with Shardless Bug. Really sweet mid-range deck.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the premier mid-range decks in Legacy. It's got all of these awesome interactions. I mean, like you said, just casting Shardless Agent, it reminds me a lot of being able to cast Bloodbraid Elf back in Standard. Just like, you never know what you're going to get, but regardless of what you're going to get, it's going to be awesome. Looking at these 2-player sideboards, looks like Mike has come a little prepared against True Name Nemesis.
Okay.
I mean, he's got 3 of his own, but he also has Golgari Charm and just looks like just Golgari Charm for him to bring in if he wants.
Okay.
Against True Name Nemesis.
On the other side here, for Rudy, he's got a couple of interesting things in the board. He's got kind of more of the same, but he's also got a Manriki Gusari here, I see.
That's really good in the mirror match, and any of the other decks that play Stoneforge Mystic, like Owen Turtenwald's blue-white-red Delver deck.
Yeah, it's just a one-of, but it is interesting because you can search it up with your Stoneforge, so it's tutorable.
Takes over the equipment game.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think that Mike Nyberg I don't think he has any equipment, right?
No.
Yeah, nothing, so that's not going to come in here. But he's got Flusterstorm, Swan Song. This is a new card we haven't seen on camera yet. Toxic Deluge. Yeah, the card looks
two and a
quite
black,
good.
pay X life. All creatures get -X/-X. That's also from the new Grixis Commander deck. Same with True Name Nemesis and Swan Song. Very,
Swan
very
Song
powerful
also in Theros, but yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, but Toxic Deluge, that looks like an interesting one. I'm curious to see if that makes the cut in Legacy. We've seen it on a few deck lists. Haven't seen it in the feature match area actually being played yet. But
I mean, we saw Rob Castellan boarded in against Andrew Cuneo's Elf deck.
Oh yeah, I wasn't in the booth for that one.
But he didn't end up casting.
He didn't draw it. Okay, that would have been very good.
Yeah. I mean, that's obviously what those cards are for against the Death and Taxes type matchup.
Golgari Charm does really well in that too, yeah.
Also good against Elves. Yeah, Golgari Charm's really good, especially because it clears out Mother of Runes.
Yes, and now True Name Nemesis. It gets rid of a lot of things that are incredibly difficult to deal with.
But we'll see. I mean, if the first game's telling, regardless of how much disruption and card advantage Mike gets, may not matter against Rudy's deck. That was just ridiculous.
That was kind of ridiculous.
He 2-for-1'd his opponent using him to Torque, 1-for-1'd him with Thoughtseize, 3-for-1'd him with Ancestral Visions, right? It's just like,
He did, and it kind of just didn't matter. All right, a lot of lands here for Rudy in his opener, but he's also got a Path to Exile, a Jace, something else down there.
Swords to Plowshares.
Yeah. All right, so Mike has Thoughtseize for turn 1. Target you.
Again, a great opening. Shows him his spells.
So Swords Path, Batterskull. All right, and there's a Jason Mind Sculptor as well.
The choice is really between Batterskull and Jace the Mind Sculptor.
Mm-hmm.
The thing Mike has to be afraid of is a Stoneforge Mystic coming out and making that Batterskull uncounterable.
Right.
If he's got enough counter spells to take care of the Jace, you know, it's no big deal. He can hold back a Force of Will for that and just take the Batterskull if he's afraid of Stoneforge Mystic. Otherwise, I mean, raw power goes to Jace if he wants to take the most powerful card. I don't really see him taking either of the creature removal spells.
Tough decision here. He's going to take Batterskull.
Yeah, so that's really telling that he's got some form of counter magic in his hand, or he is not afraid of Jace. It doesn't look like he's got any counter magic in his hand. I see a Shardless Agent and a Jite. So maybe he's just hoping to take a really quick game.
Rudy drew another Swords to Plowshares, so he's got Jace and 3 removal spells in hand with a couple more lands.
This would be the perfect time for Mike to peel off a True Name Nemesis and go to town with Jite. Just, you know, show who's the true Name Nemesis wielder in this match.
And there's Jite. He's going to take a chance to resolve it while the door's open here. Get it on the table. Still needs a threat to go with it, but another land here for Rudy, so not a great draw for Rudy's side of the board at all. He really just has nothing going on here. I mean, he can take care of any creatures that Mike plays, so that's the good news.
So Mike has a Brainstorm here that he just peeled off the top, and a Shardless Agent. He's going to fire off the Brainstorm here first, so he can set up his Shardless Agent on the following turn if he wants. If he happens to draw Ancestral Visions, he can put it 2 down, and then cast Shardless Agent and get it for free.
All right, instead he draws Jace, Abrupt Decay,
Deathrite Shaman.
Deathrite. So he's got to figure out what he wants to do as far as setting up his Shardless, because I mean, he can still set up whatever it is that he wants.
Yeah, I think he's got a fetch land in Misty Rainforest, so I think he's going to just shuffle away the 2 cards he doesn't want and cast Deathrite Shaman this turn. It doesn't really make sense to set up Deathrite Shaman for Shardless Agent when you can just cast it this turn. Might as well shuffle away these 2 cards that might not be that powerful.
He put Jace something else up.
There's Jace and Creeping Tar Pit. But I guess he wants to draw the Jace and then cascade past the Creeping Tar Pit.
And he's going to Wasteland this turn.
Yeah, so somewhat of a mistake there on Nyberg's side. He should have played the Wasteland first and gotten rid of the land, and then played the Deathrite Shaman.
Yes.
Forcing Rudy to crack his fetch land if he wanted to remove it. But
yeah, we talked about that yesterday, about using shuffles as a resource, and you have to maximize those.
Either forcing him to shuffle or forcing him to use a mana on his turn.
Right. Crack a Misty Rainforest. So that's going to get rid of the land on top anyway. So if he goes for the Shardless Agent here, it's just a cold Shardless Agent. It's just going to hit whatever it hits, but which actually isn't great, right? I mean, he does have quite a few things like Abrupt Decays and stuff that he just doesn't want to cast right now.
I think Abrupt Decay is probably the only real brick.
Okay. If that's the case, then he probably just goes for it.
There are cards that are good and cards that are really good, but it's really, depending on what he brought in, it's really only Abrupt Decay that's just complete garbage.
Okay.
But I can see if Mike wins this game, Rudy might try to bring in that Manriki Gusari from his sideboard to take out the Jite that Mike boarded in.
Yep. Oh, and he hits a Tarmogoyf, so pretty
possible.
ideal. Yeah, it is going to get Path to Exiled here, and no basic lands for Mike Nyberg. He doesn't even pick up his library. That's pretty nice when you get to path something and they have no recourse. Oh, kind of awkwardly, a Relic of Progenitus the next turn, so Tarmogoyf wouldn't have been too big, but it does grow back pretty quickly, so still nice to have that Goyf off the table. And here's an equip and then a Swords to Plowshare. So, I mean, how happy is Mike that Rudy's using up all of his removal spells on cards like Shardless Agent?
I mean, he's happy, but he's actually probably a little upset right now. He knows that Rudy has that Jace in the hand.
Yeah.
And if he can draw land or has a land, which he does, he can cast the Planeswalker. Mike doesn't have a counterspell. He didn't draw one.
Right.
In all of this time.
And we're going to see Jace into an essentially empty board here.
Yeah.
Oof.
I mean, Mike's got a Jace of his own, but Rudy is definitely advantaged here.
Yeah, Mike decided to use his Wasteland a couple of turns ago, which meant that he wasn't going to be on 4 mana by this point in the game.
Well, I mean, neither player would have. Using the Wasteland was good because it bought him an extra turn.
Oh, yeah,
to draw
right.
a counterspell for the Jace that he knew was incoming.
Right. Yep.
So, I mean, Rudy's going to cast this here and pray, but we know, and Mike knows, that
his prayers will be answered. And here's the first of what could be many brainstorms from Jace the Mind Sculptor. He draws no real action, but he does hit a couple of cantrips and another Jace here, so very solid insurance plan going forward.
Ponder really important here. It allows you to get a shuffle effect if you really need it out of continually brainstorming with Jace.
All right, another Shardless Agent for Mike Nyberg, so he can at least start to threaten Jace. And bouncing Shardless Agent doesn't seem like a great long-term plan. There's a Hymn to Turok.
Yeah, that's
all right.
It's not bad.
So not too shabby there. So that means that there's a Jace on top of the library then? Is that?
I believe it's Jason Brainstorm in some order, but
yeah.
Yeah, I mean.
All right, so the Brainstorm first.
With that second Jace, this is just going to be comical.
There's the other Jace, a land and a Deathrite Shaman.
Mike's going to spend all of this resource to try to get rid of the Jace. Rudy's just going to calmly and casually play another Jace.
Which is always so backbreaking.
Yeah. He's going to be able to brainstorm for days here.
D-A-Y-S?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not D-A-Z. I don't think that's in his deck.
No, it's not.
Life total is currently 1819. That's correct. Thank you.
I mean, I know this is pretty cliche, pretty trite. But just look at the power of Jace the Mind Sculptor.
Yeah, it is insane. It really is. And, you know, I know you're saying it's cliche, but, I mean, this is not a card that you get to play outside of this format. Yeah, so we actually don't get to see this very often, and it is true.
So after that shuffle of Flooded Strand, Rudy's going to play a real Brainstorm. Draws Abrupt Decay, which is pretty sweet. He can use it to protect his Jace that he shuffled away. Or now that he shuffled away the other one.
Potentially Time Walk Mike, too, if Mike goes for a equip of that Jitte and lock up a bunch of his mana for the turn. But it's going to be a Deathrite Shaman here. He can draw that Abrupt Decay, though, with his Relic of Progenitus if he wants.
Yeah. He might end up doing that. I mean, I don't think he really wants there to be counters on the Jitte, which would happen if he chump walked.
Does he have green mana available, though?
No, he doesn't.
Deathrite is summoning 6, so he doesn't. So not an option.
Good point, Marshall.
Right, but he is going to crack that thing and get moving through the deck here. So he was trying to set up Deathrite so that he could actually cast his Abrupt Decay at some point here. All right, now there's another solid Brainstorm here, a Sword of Fire and Ice plus a Stoneforge Mystic.
So Jitte took out the Deathrite Shaman.
I'll tell you in a second.
And Stoneforge Mystic comes down. So Rudy can fetch out his own Jitte, but the rules don't work the same way they did back in Kamigawa block.
No. Now both players can happily wield that stick. And Rudy's actually got 2 nice removal spells in hand, or 2 nice equipment spells in hand here. He's going to kick things off with the Jitte, and he's going to equip here.
You get a Jitte, and you get a Jitte.
Ben's favorite things.
On my daytime television program.
All right, so let's see what Mike comes up with. He's still on 3 lands here. He's got an Abrupt Decay that he can fire off right now if he wants. And if he does, that would allow him to take down Jace. It looks like he's going to Thoughtseize first, though. Take away the Sword of Fire and Ice. Pretty nice there. And then, does he just kill the Stoneforge Mystic here?
Yeah, he's got a second Abrupt Decay in hand to get rid of the Jitte, right?
Yes.
So
Jace the Mind Sculptor down, Stoneforge Mystic down, and Sword of Fire and Ice from hand down, and here's a Brainstorm.
just a blind Brainstorm, though. Straight into a True Name Nemesis.
Jeez!
Jeez, those 3 great cards. True Name Nemesis is going to come down. We know Stoneforge Mystic is on the top of Rudy's library, and unless there's a Golgari Charm or something similar right now, Mike's going to be in a whole lot of trouble. Protection from Mike Nyberg, creature equipped with one of the best equipments ever printed.
Yeah, now you mentioned it before, the Abrupt Decay can take out the Umezawa's Jitte here still, but True Name Nemesis is going to be a big issue on its own. Here's Abrupt Decay to do just that, and he's done that after attack, so the True Name Nemesis does get in for damage, but it's also tapped now, which is going to potentially allow Mike to get 1 hit in with his Shardless Agent with the Jitte equipped to it. Here's a Deathrite Shaman for Rudy. And Mike draws a Jace the Mind Sculptor here.
I mean, like,
is it enough to get him back in here?
Mike's clock is actually better than Rudy's clock.
Oh, it is.
Rudy can just hold back.
Yeah.
True Name Nemesis.
Yeah, Mike's stuck on 2 lands now. He's
until he like gets a Batter's Call out or whatever and just starts crushing.
Yeah, so Jace isn't going to come down forever here.
Depends if he brought in Enrique Gusar, that'd be so sick here. But it looks like he's out of equipment. He boarded out Batter's Call for the Sword of Fire and Ice. Just has nothing.
All right, so we've got a bit of a standoff here then?
Yeah.
The Stoneforge Mystic isn't really doing anything as Rudy has no cards in hand and no more equipment in his deck, so not even worth taking that thing out. It's just a Squire. And Mike has some kind of awkward cards in hand. He's got a couple of Jaces, which he can't. Well, I guess he is going to go ahead and kill the
so I don't know if
Stoneforge Mystic. What just happened here?
Mike understands what's going to go on here. The Jitte is not going to get any counters because it doesn't deal any damage.
No, he has to now use one of the counters, in fact, just to keep his creature from dying. Oh, okay. It looks like, I mean, True Name Nemesis is brand new to the format, and I think that Mike perhaps just didn't, fully grasp what the effect of it was there. Brainstorm, though, for Rudy to carry on forward, and oh man, another True Name Nemesis means the beatdowns are back on. Take 3. We saw this in the last game. Getting the second True Name Nemesis is so nasty because you really can't attack, and they can attack you.
And then finally, I mean, just 2 swings is almost enough to do it here with True Name Nemesis.
Lands in your yard, correct?
Just completely blanking Jitte here. Just imagine if Rudy still had his Jitte and could equip it to his True Name Nemesis.
All right, here we go. Shardless Agent, can he hit? I mean, did he bring in Golgari Charm? Well, he hits one of the most ideal hits for it, generally speaking. Unfortunately, he's a little tight on mana here.
It could also be that Mike brought in Engineered Plague.
Okay.
And he could name it on Merfolk or Rogue to get rid of True Name Nemesis. That would probably be the best he could have. Best thing he could have. But it doesn't look like he brought in either of those cards.
All right, take 3. Thoughtseize you. That's an Abrupt Decay on the top, right?
Yep.
Okay.
I mean, this Thoughtseize is pretty bad here. And if Mike is thinking about just firing off a Brainstorm here, that almost makes the Thoughtseize worth it, but yeah.
So a couple of Jaces, a Hymn, an Ancestral, a Brainstorm. which is going to be nailed here, and
that's the
abrupt
best card
decay.
in Mike's hand because it gives him hope of drawing one of the cards that can deal with True Name Nemesis.
That's right.
The rest are just like pretty much blanks. Hymn to Torak doesn't do anything. Abrupt Decay doesn't do anything. Ancestral Visions won't do anything for a long time.
And Jace is the most expensive possible Brainstorm.
Yeah. And he's got 2 of them, so.
Right. All right, there's a land draw there, but unfortunately for Mike, he's going to have to use that Deathrite Shaman if he wants to try to stick Jace this turn, because he can't crack 2 fetches and still be alive. Or actually, he can. He's got 1 counter left on his Jitte.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so he's got some options here.
It's interesting that Mike decided not to brainstorm in response to the Thoughtseize. If he could think in Rudy's head and see that he was going to take the brainstorm anyway, my assumption is Mike was thinking, I want to keep my fetch land so I can get more value out of this brainstorm, but if you don't have the brainstorm, you're not going to get any value out of it. So.
Sure. All right. Jace the Mind Sculptor. Brainstorm. All right, so let's see if he has any outs in his deck. We haven't seen anything that can deal with True Name Nemesis yet.
My guess is that...
No, that's not going to do it either. He sees Deathrite Shaman, Abrupt Decay, Creeping Tar Pit.
If he bricks off here, he's going to put 2 spells that cost more than 2 mana on the top of his library, and then bounce one of his Shardless agents on the following turn to try to get deeper to find a Golgari Charm.
We're just assuming that he has put that in the deck, but
yeah, I mean that's
one
really
of the only ways he can get out of this mess.
If he can get a Golgari Charm or Engineered Plague, something like that, he's got a really good chance this game, right? I mean,
his board state is insane, yet True Name Nemesis is making most of it moot.
So this following turn for Mike his next turn is just going to be the real decider whether or not he can find answers to those True Name Nemesis.
Go down to 6.
Okay, so shuffle those 2 cards away.
Look when he goes through. Do we see a Golgari Charm in there?
I saw 1.
Okay, yeah, I think there's actually both of them in there. I think one was near the bottom. So he is drawing live here. Remember, Rudy is on no cards right now, so at least you'll have 1 clean draw step, but that's not going to do it. Okay, another Deathrite Shaman. And he just is going to gain 2 right now.
I'm not sure how many creatures are in the graveyard, but
that could matter. Could buy him a turn potentially.
No, I probably wouldn't buy him a turn, right? He'd just go down to 2 and then gain 4.
All right, so he's going to attack, but he is going to keep attacking Mike, so Jason Mind Sculptor still on board here. What does he draw? All right, he draws one of the worst possible for him there, Creeping Tar Pit. Rudy still at 16 life, and we're going to Brainstorm. Land, Brainstorm.
True Name Nemesis.
A True Name Nemesis.
Most importantly, he drew a fetch land there, so he can put back 2 terrible cards, crack the fetch, Brainstorm for a fresh 3, giving him more options to draw into one of his 2 Golgari Charms.
Man, and if he hits that Golgari Charm, he gets to attack this turn, get some counters on the Jitte. Ugh. It'd be such a huge swing for him.
I mean, you just see how powerful these cantrips are in Legacy. Mike gets to look at so many cards.
There's not even that many cards left in his library, I don't think. This has been a true grinder here, but True Name Nemesis is the key card for sure. So here it is. What is he doing first here? Oh, Rudy's like, yeah, you got it. Golgari Charm. Did you do it?
I don't think he has Golgari Charm.
No, he doesn't. I think he just assumed that that's what he's going to. Oh, he's going to him first. Is that Toxic Deluge?
Yeah, Toxic Deluge.
Okay.
I guess he just really wants to protect his Brainstorm, but he's leaving himself with fewer outs in the small chance that he brainstorms into a Brainstorm. I mean, you wouldn't get another shuffle, but he'd get at least 1 more card.
Oh, he's going to say go here. Let his opponent draw a card.
Really?
All right, so it looks like he wants to try to gain life with Deathrite Shamans here or something. But this way, Rudy doesn't move in, can't really move in and attack for the win. So he is going to get an extra turn here. Ooh, got to crack that fetch first if you're going to Brainstorm, I think.
Yeah.
No, he's going to gain some life. All right, so he's going to...
That's really weird. I mean, Mike also could have, instead of casting that Himdatorak, like brainstormed and then cast another Jace, and then like brainstormed again. To just go really deep. He's not even cracking his
He should do it during his upkeep then, huh? Because he put 2 cards that he definitely didn't want.
One was the Creeping Tar Pit.
Yeah.
Most of his cards are irrelevant. He just wants Golgari Charm here.
Yeah. All right, so upkeep. He hasn't drawn a card for the turn yet, so there we go. Get rid of that Misty Rainforest. Does he have anything else to get? Yeah, sure, he's got more. And let's see if he can peel. He's got so many ways. He's got a Brainstorm plus a Jace on board, and he's already done this like 3 or 4 times. He's even thinned out his deck significantly. There's not that many cards left, and if he can hit this Golgari Charm, he's going to be in the driver's seat to even up this match here and try to stay undefeated. Both players are 9-0. It's a Tarmogoyf. Brainstorm. Here we go. Land, land, land. He just keeps bricking, though. He does hit more fetches here.
You have to imagine if you're sitting in Rudy's seat, you're just like gripping tight, bracing for impact.
No kidding. I mean, if I'm in Rudy's seat, I'm starting to wonder if Mike has outs in his deck. You know, it's just like...
If he's just like screwing around.
Yeah, if he's just like hoping to find something, because at this point, he really should have found what he was looking for. He has shuffled and brainstormed and shuffled and brainstormed and, you know, really seen a ton of cards. All right, he's thinking about what he wants to do here. He could go back up to 9 life potentially, but down to 4. You got to imagine he's going to fire off this brainstorm in the main phase here and try once again to find one of his 2 Golgari Charms. In many ways, they would just end the game on the spot.
He also has access to another Jace because of the new Legend rule. He can play his Jace and kill his old Jace.
All right, Maelstrom Pulse, Abrupt Decay land. Are there no Golgari Charms in there? I thought I saw them. Maybe they were Abrupt Decays.
This is like going to the casino and losing like 10,000 hands of blackjack over and over again.
All right, so Mike puts a couple of cards back. Does he have a shuffle here? He's attacking here. So he's going to get in for 2, but lose one of his creatures here.
He wants to put creatures in his graveyard to
Yeah,
gain life.
yeah, that's we don't know exactly how many are left in the yard, but this is one way to potentially get them in. Rudy really doesn't have a choice, though, right? He can't let counters get on that Jitte and get a bunch of life gain for Mike, so this tack is
also
kind of sweet.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet, and Mike has Abrupt Decay if he really needs to kill one of his own creatures.
Okay. Now, how many mana sources does he have? He's only got 2 green, so... Or no, he's got 3, never mind. So, yeah, he could kill one of his guys and gain another couple of life off that as well. Now, Rudy's in a pretty pained position, but realizes that either way, it doesn't end well for him, so he is going to go ahead and block with his True Name Nemesis.
That's actually a really interesting play. If Mike has his own True Name Nemesis, he could play his own, give it protection from Rudy, and then Maelstrom Pulse it.
Oh, that is interesting.
But I think he put the Maelstrom Pulse back on the top of his library.
That is really, I did not think about that. Also, if he has his own, he can equip Jitte and potentially race, right?
Yeah.
All right, another attack with True Name Nemesis, a Snapcaster Mage, and a Swords to Plowshares, though. On Rudy's side, that would have been kind of sick to pulse it, because, I mean, he certainly had the board beyond that.
Instead, he's just going to have to hope to do something this turn.
Right, so there was a Stoneforge Mystic in the yard. He's going to take care of that.
Hanging on by a thread.
This has been a fantastic game. Here's Snapcaster Mage. What is it going to target, and does Mike have the resources available to just take it out? I mean, he's got a black mana, he's got a Deathrite Shaman, but does he need to gain life this turn? Maybe so, because he's letting Brainstorm happen here. True Name Nemesis number 3 and a couple of lands. Still has Swords of Plowshares in hand as well. Play a land, play a True Name Nemesis, and now he has 9 power, and this is just a huge...
I think that's just overextending a little bit.
Do you think so? All right, so here's Abrupt Decay to take out the Snapcaster Mage, leaving Mike Nyberg at 3. Now, if he can find a Golgari Charm, he is going to win this game in short order. Remember, that Jitte still down there. A land off the top. Remember, though, he has Jace the Mind Sculptor. I'm starting to wonder if he has those Golgari Charms in there. We thought we saw him, but that's not one. Oh, here's the Maelstrom Pulse, though. And that is a Golgari Charm. All right, so Mike Nyberg finally finds what he's been digging for the past 5 turns. And I believe his opponent has no cards in hand at this point as well. So he can just fire it off here. Yeah, he in fact, I heard Mike say, do you have any cards in hand? And there it is, Golgari Charm. And we're just going to scoop him up. Rudy says, I've seen enough. You found it, and that's going to do it. Mike Nyberg is going to force a game 3 here in what was a very hard-fought and drawn-out game. That was fantastic stuff.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome.
So guys, you have just over 9
Again,
minutes.
just showing the raw power of True Name Nemesis and why it's so important to have cards like Golgari Charm and Toxic Deluge in your sideboard in these matchups.
So you think Rudy played that last True Name Nemesis? Did I wasn't able to do the math quickly enough there. Was that going to put the win on the table for him if there was no?
If he knew that Mike had another Abrupt Decay, then he needed to play the 3rd True Name Nemesis in order to win on the following turn, because that would take out the Snapcaster Mage and put another creature in the graveyard. But unclear if Rudy knew that.
Sure.
And if he didn't expect that to happen, then playing the 3rd True Name Nemesis is really, just overextending into what happened, which is a Golgari Charm. Granted, Mike had a Golgari Charm, he was going to win anyway.
Sure.
But
at that point, I just had to go for it, just like you either had.
Players shuffling up quickly for the 3rd and final game here.
There were actually 7 players coming out of day 1 who were undefeated in this event. 2 of them had 1 draw and no losses, and everybody else, all the other 5 were completely undefeated, and these are 2 of those.
I think the sick thing about that game is just like how many decisions Mike had in each of those final turns. Like he could have played a second Jace, bounced Shardless Agent with his Jace. There was the play with Maelstrom pulsing his own True Name Nemesis.
Yeah.
Just shows you how awesome Legacy is. How many options
it's really sweet, that play too, because he can't, even Rudy has the Swords of Plowshares and can't interact with that play. It's really awesome. True Name Nemesis, kind of a weird card, it has an ability that we've never seen before.
People are calling it the mini Progenitus.
Yeah. Progenigoose, somebody called it. No, you don't like that?
Goose is loose? Where's the goose come from?
Just because you can't deal with it. All right, so we're getting set here for a game 3 to see which one of these 2 players is going to remain undefeated. This has been a really good match so far. Very swingy, lots of back and forth.
You're currently at 7 minutes.
Wait, why is it a goose? It's a merfolk, right? It's a fish?
Yeah.
6 minutes plus R1.
Yeah, it's +your 1. Yes.
Geese are birds,
In fact, my
right?
phone may alarm
Well,
when it hits
nimble
normal time,
mongoose.
you'll have a minute before the alarm.
Okay.
I think I turned it off.
See, I need to go back and get my zoology degree.
I think you're okay. Programming is working fine for you. All right, I think we're underway here in the feature match area. There we go. So we've got an Underground Sea and a Ponder has been resolved. Looks like no shuffle there. Mike Nyberg has a fetch land, but no turn 1 play for him. So no Deathrite Shaman, no Thoughtseize. So potentially a slow hand here for Mike. Now here's a Wasteland. Tap it for mana. Play a Brainstorm.
Interesting that Mike didn't want to cast Hymn to Torok that turn. But it ends up working out well for him, forcing Rudy to burn his Brainstorm here. And then the following turn, when he wants to cast Hymn to Torok, Rudy will be without a Brainstorm.
All right, there's a land off the top. It doesn't produce black mana, but he's got multiple other lands in hand that he can use for that if he does want to fire off his Hymn to Turok here. Let's see what his game plan is, though.
Since Mike doesn't have any non-basic lands in his deck, that Wasteland's going to...
It's Strip Mine here.
Yeah, get something. Unclear if Rudy wants to use it. He doesn't have a third land in his hand, although he does have the Deathrite Shaman. Yeah, probably just uses it immediately. Oh, the Abrupt Decay, though, instead of the into Torok.
Get rid of Deathrite Shaman immediately. Keep his opponent off of that critical 4th mana. If his opponent
But more
goes
importantly,
land,
the white mana
true.
that he needs for Stoneforge Mystic in his hand.
Yeah, and I mean, Mike might not know that. He could also just be playing around, a turn 3 Jace the Mind Sculptor there. But here's a Tarmogoyf now for Mike Nyberg. And yeah, you mentioned, Rudy not able to use his Wasteland as he's a little bit tight on mana here with just 2 and not the colors that he needs. So this could end quickly if Mike can keep Rudy pinned down here. He's going to start by attacking. I think it's a 4-5. 1, 2, 3, 3, 4. And there's Jace the Mind Sculptor. Does that resolve? Absolutely. And he's actually going to Fate Seal his opponent immediately.
Let's get going.
Put it on the bottom.
Tick-tock.
Just try to keep him off of land drops. Is he going to pop? No. Well, you could make a case for using the relic right now. Try to hit a land drop, right?
Yeah, that's... I mean, if he's going to use it on the following turn, he should have used it during his turn.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it does. If he can use it now, then he can make sure that the Tarmogoyf stays pretty small at least. It's a 0-1. An instant could turn that around. Fetch land here. There's a fetch. So it'll be at least a 1-2 here. All right, so Mike Nyberg firmly in the driver's seat with Jace the Mind Sculptor and Tarmogoyf against an opponent that is struggling to hit their land drops. Even though the Goyf's only a 1-2, if you've played much Legacy, you know that that doesn't last very long. It'll be a 3-4 before you know it. And let's take a look at what you have here, Rudy. A full grip, a couple of True Name Nemesis, a couple of Stoneforge Mystic.
So he
Wow.
did draw a land off of that relic.
He did.
Must be kicking himself now.
Batterskull, Abrupt Decay, Swords to Plowshares. Mike's got a lot to write down here. The full grip. And what is he going to take? A couple of redundant cards there. 2 True Name Nemesis, 2 Stoneforge Mystic. The Batterskull is obviously the best way for Rudy to get back in this game from being behind. But the Swords to Plowshares is what Mike's going to take because that's the card that he can cast the soonest here. And it's going to take care of the Mike's only threat currently. And here's him to Turok. So this could be big too.
Up all night to get lucky.
Get the Batterskull, or just get 2 of the other threats and would all be fine.
That's not how.
Yeah, we've got 7.
Not how probability works, but I'm sure these players will figure it out.
Yeah.
No, still not how probability works. We just get a bigger die.
Okay, so roll a die. This will be the even pile.
I think the judge is helping out as well.
This will be the
So
even pile. This will be the odd pile. And then you. Okay, so you roll a die. Oh yeah. Well, it's still not random. Right?
they're figuring out how to make sure that this is truly random,
I got it. Okay.
That's
which you must do.
that's really not. That's
1, 2, 3, 4.
no, that's
1, 6. Yep.
that's not how odds work.
I don't know what they actually decided to do. So there's a Stoneforge Mystic and Abrupt Decay that ends up in the graveyard. That's.
I mean, Rashad. He's not a number scientist, but he even knows.
there's a flooded strand into True Name Nemesis here for Rudy to try to stop the beats from that Tarmogoyf.
I'm at 16. I have 14.
All right, Mike draws another land, so he is certainly not short of lands here. Jace the Mind Sculptor is up to 7 loyalty, and it's Brainstorm time. Land True Name Nemesis and Ancestral Vision, so looks like he's going to get rid of Visions in a land here and then crack that Polluted Delta at some point so he doesn't have to draw those. I don't think he has a Shardless Agent in hand or anything. So.
1 minute, guys.
And there's a True Name Nemesis. So now he's got a real clock going here. And Rudy's in a pretty tough position. He draws a Relic of Progenitus. That can help with Tarmogoyf, but Tarmogoyf's not the problem at this moment. And there's a second true name nemesis here for Rudy. So he's managed to put up a clock of his own. Is he going to be able to race? Looking at his hand, and he is going to attack. Is it Jace or you? Attack you, Mike. Drop you down to 13, and Rudy says, all right, let's race. He's 1 mana away from casting his Batter Skull as well, which, if it were to connect on a true name nemesis, would effectively make any race over.
It's a crazy game.
This is a crazy game.
As soon as Rudy got, lands number 3 and 4, it's completely turned around.
You're 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, you're fine. You're fine. Sorry, my bad. To say, that'd be the best turns ever.
12.
So I have 12, 14.
All right, Mike draws another land. He's got a Maelstrom Pulse in hand, though. So he does have that play available to him that we noticed in the last game, where if he wants, he can pulse his own true name nemesis to take out both of Rudy's. It depends on if Mike thinks he can win a race here.
And if he sees that play, it's kind of...
It is unintuitive.
Yeah. Well, he's holding onto that Maelstrom Pulse, so presumably he understands what's up. He attacks him with his true name nemesis first.
Then we could definitely expect that to happen. He knows Rudy's hand.
He's going to crack that fetch, clear away some cards, brainstorm with a real brainstorm. See where he's at after looking at 20 zillion cards.
Did you win?
A brainstorm. Umezawa's Jitte.
That's also pretty good.
And a Golgari Charm here. So he's got a bunch of different options here. He could be trying to save Maelstrom Pulse for Batter Skull if he's worried about that going down the line, because he currently doesn't have an answer to it.
I mean, he could. Does he have enough mana to play Golgari Charm? Or sorry, play Jitte, Equip, and Golgari Charm?
Let's see.
I think so.
That is the question, because then he can pump his true name nemesis and save it. Wow, Maelstrom Pulse. Wow, that is aggressive on the Relic of Progenitus.
And now he's going to Golgari Charm?
All right, so it looks like he just wants to ride this Tarmogoyf to the finish. This could get problematic if the Batter Skull comes down here, though. This is an interesting line from Mike Nyberg here. He has a Jace the Mind Sculptor on board, so the Batter Skull on its own isn't enough. He can bounce a Germ token, leaving the Batter Skull just an equipment on board, and try to put a 2-turn clock with Tarmogoyf on Rudy. Now, if Rudy finds a way to get it equipped, that could change everything, but I think that Mike feels like his Jace the Mind Sculptor is just going to be able to keep Rudy off balance long enough for Tarmogoyf to win. Plus, Rudy needed to draw a land to play Batter Skull in any case, and he didn't.
He did draw Vendilion Cloak.
So things looking quite good here for Mike Nyberg, who gets to even brainstorm with his Jace.
Gonna cast Thoughtseize first.
And here's a Vendilion Click in response.
Man, it's so good. Clear away that Jitte of yours.
All right, so when it enters the battlefield,
Yeah, that's awkward for Mike because he's got it stuck in his hand. He could also target himself, though.
All right, Vendilion Click is currently on the stack. When Vendilion Click enters the battlefield, that's when he targets.
Let's see what he ends up doing.
Is now on the stack.
Okay, I understand.
I don't really see why he'd want to target himself here.
If he
I don't
clicks
think he
toward
would.
He's fine with Mike taking
Sure.
either of those cards.
Yeah.
Very well.
I targeted myself.
He targeted himself, and he's going to put Batterskull on the bottom, draw a land, and have his Stoneforge Mystic thought seized away here.
Yeah.
They are on turn 3. I'm sorry, gentlemen. One quick question about life totals.
Judge is asking a question.
Rudy, I have you on 10. Mike,
I'm at 9.
9 off of the thought seize. Thank you.
All right, just getting life totals straightened out. And there it is, Umezawa's Jitte. Equip this up. And send in the Tarmogoyf. So here's a chump block from Rudy. It's going to put a couple of counters on Jitte and really put Mike Nyberg in the driver's seat here. That could just do it. Mike's got to be careful not to get swords to plowshared here if he tries to move in, but
Yeah, I think that
so a couple of turns though.
this game was pretty close to over.
It is definitely close to over. So Mike Nyberg has managed to maneuver himself into a position of victory here. Yeah, he's got a Tarmogoyf that's on 5. He could pump using his Jitte, but then if he gets Swords to Plowshare, then he loses it. And it's only 9 damage anyway. So all right, Abrupt Decay off the top for Mike Nyberg. Fate Seal you? Brainstorm. All right. Shardless Agent, another Abrupt Decay, and an Ancestral Vision. As if he needed more, he's got a pretty sweet one. He can Shardless Agent into that Ancestral Visions if he wants. It's turn 5. That dice is for turn 5? Okay, did not
that
know
changes
that. I
things.
thought that was a
I too
Tarmogoyf
thought it was for
dice.
Tarmogoyf dice.
Yeah. Wow, so we are in turn 5 and didn't know it. We thought it was for Tarmogoyf. That's normal. Do you watch coverage, Rashad?
Come on.
You're
give
always
Rashad a break.
he's always on the other side of it. Wow. So is this going to be a draw then? Since because I'm
Yeah.
assuming that Tarmogoyf is not lethal here.
I don't know what Shardless Agent can.
Is there a Shardless Agent in the yard? Is there an artifact in the yard? Yes, there already is. There's a creature. Yes, so that's not going to do it. Wow.
He needs a planeswalker in the yard.
He needs to kill his own Jace,
Yeah, I guess so.
which
You can't really do.
can't really do that.
Pump, 79 of it.
Pump, gets you down to 3 or 1 or something. Get you down to 1.
One's not going to do it, and that's going to be a draw.
Oh man, and we get a draw out of this. So we were wondering if who was going to remain undefeated. The answer is both of them. But